The triple layer cake is so named because you are sandwiching a corkscrew between two buzzsaws in the same direction. So corkscrew, buzzsaw 1, corkscrew, buzzsaw 2. Now, it's the same direction of buzzsaw. I'm doing clockwise to match the corkscrew under the leg that I just did. But the difference is, so this is my right hand on bottom with my left poi on top. And then this is my left poi on bottom with my right poi on top. Now you might be like, who cares? Why do I need to do both? You don't. But if you want to do this move, you need to do both. And in real life, most people are, in my lived experience, working with thousands and thousands of people, most people are not equally balanced, but like most people can't do all 4 of the same direction versions with evenness. But most people are pretty solid on one side where you could do both versions where the left is on top. Left is on bottom, which is this one, and the right is on bottom, which is this one. Now, super fun to go with this is turning with the buzzsaw. I think the in turn, where you turn in the same direction with the buzzsaw, so this buzzsaw looking down at it is going clockwise, which means I'm turning to the right to turn with it. I think that's easier for most people than the anti-turn, where you're turning against it. Now that one was with the right on bottom. This is with the left on bottom, which for me is more comfortable, both in the in-turn and the anti-turn. That's another set of things that you could be working on, is just those horizontal buzzsaws. And remember, there's 8 horizontal buzzsaws, 4 in same direction. So those were the 2 in clockwise. These are the 2 in counterclockwise. This is right on bottom. And that was in-turn and anti-turn. And then this is left on bottom, in-turn and anti-turn. And then, so those are the 4 same direction versions, but then you could do opposite direction versions. I do not think turning with the opposite direction versions is as easy, because one of them is always going against the grain. So if you look down and imagine you're doing an underhand opposite butterfly, and then you bring, say, your left hand above, and then your right hand is above it. So this is the underhand opposite buzzsaw with the right poi on top and the left on bottom. So now the left poi is going in against the turn, but now when I turn the other way, the right poi is going against the turn. And then I could do the same thing with the other orientation, with the right one on bottom or the left one on top. And then you could also do the 4th pair, which is based on, if you look down, you create like an overhand opposite butterfly. So your right one is going counterclockwise and your left one is going clockwise, and you stack them. Then if I go this way, my right one is going against the turn. And if I go this way, my left one is going against the turn. And then if you switch it so that it's right on top, right on bottom, and this, and left on top, then this is, again, the right one against the turn, and now the left one against the turn. I think the opposite direction one is much harder to do in the turnaround like that. However, they can be useful in other contexts. So one of my sort of, this is a fun old school move or combo really. And it's a over the head, thread the needle, but it's short poi. It's low because it's flat, right? So if you don't have the thread the needle over the head, this will be tough. If you don't have the thread the needle, this will be nearly impossible to do, because learning it over the head is just very strange because of the sensations, because you're constantly fighting gravity while you're moving the hands up and down. For those who are unfamiliar with the thread the needle, so technically all a thread the needle is you're just changing the hand that's on top, right? So this is my right hand on top, this is my left hand on top, this is my right hand on top, this is my left hand on top, and now I'm just changing them. Now it's super subtle the way I'm doing it right now. When executed in performance for, in my opinion, greater effect, because you have more dynamism in it, you execute the move with more arm movement as well. This is a much more traditional expression of the thread the needle in overhand opposite. And then you could do its companion, which is the underhand opposite version. You can then, once you get the movement, you could do things like plane shift it over your head, which is another good indoor move. And this is one of my favorite early beginner, advanced beginner dance combinations where you, and I would typically do this where I'm tapping behind my back so that the audience can see the tap. So I might be here, I'm dancing for you, I do my little thread the needle, I plane shift it up over my head, and then I tap, reverse my turn, and now I'm just, all you do is just hold the hand out like this. That's all you're doing with this one. While the other hand is up here, continuing in the same direction you were in, and then you exit into a corkscrew. And you could conveniently go under your leg, and boom, you've now connected all those things together. Or, if you wanted to go into the clockwise one, which is the one I showed you under the leg earlier, you would do the same thing. Thread the needle, plane shift it up, plane shift it up, plane shift it up. You're up over your head like this, and now this time you would tap your left poi behind your back and come this way. And by the way, you can add these little loops in here if you prefer, or you could do like this, where you're doing above and below the arm, and then you come into your clockwise corkscrew, sync it up, and under the leg like that. Going back to what I was getting at before, if you're in short poi, you could still do your thread the needle. You could still have it up here. And then you could come down here into a corkscrew. So it's thread the needle, then down here, corkscrew, corkscrew, thread the needle, 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 corkscrew, corkscrew. So it's just another fun way to play with it in opposite direction. Now, the triple layer cake, I actually don't do it in opposite direction because I don't do very much with the opposite direction buzzsaws in horizontal. I just don't prefer them. I feel like they're harder to manage and it's harder to get a crisper line. So going back to the triple layer cake, I started it with you here in clockwise to match the under the leg movement. So this is clockwise right on top. What you're doing here is you're gonna take one of your hands and lead into the corkscrew. What I'm doing is I'm leading with my left, so it's gonna come down below the arm. Then the right one will follow, and then I go into the clockwise inside corkscrew. So if you don't know the inside corkscrew yet, but you have the regular size corkscrew, shorten your poi, and then instead of coming up over your head, come up over your arms toward your face, which is kind of scary, so make sure you size the poi correctly so you don't actually thwack your face more than you need to. And then, so instead of this, you say, okay, I'm just gonna come above the arm up into my face. And if you still can't get it, go to the one-handed drills like this. So instead of up and down above the crown, you come up and down above the hand, but below the top of the head. And that's what makes it inside plane. It's between the line of you and you. It's in the box of your frame, right?